Now, Missouri hasn't gotten a ton of pub this year. They're probably one of the quietest 5-0 teams I've seen in a while from a PR standpoint, and their profile has yet to reach its peak under head coach Eli Drinkwitz. But this Saturday, they can make a huge statement to the college football world that Missouri Gold isn't of the fool's kind. It's for real. Now, LSU isn't undefeated. This isn't the number one matchup against number one Oklahoma from 2013. And they are reeling from getting shredded by Ole Miss's offense. But outside of Kansas State, this is Missouri's biggest test to date. Hell, I mean, it's the midterm, if we're going to be honest. And with trips looming to Kentucky and Georgia, it's about as must-win as it gets for Missouri to stay in the thick of the SEC race. Now, there are a lot of factors that will play a part in the outcome of this game. But there's one huge glaring statistic that if Missouri cleans up, they'll not only beat LSU, but it's going to help them along the road to stay alive in the hunt for the SEC. Now, this Missouri defense is damn good against the run. In fact, they're 13th in the country in opponent rush yards per play and 10th in opponent rushing yards per game. But they have been a sieve against the pass. Missouri ranks 98th in opponent completion percentage and 101st in passing yards given up per game. And if that continues, LSU with Jaden Daniels and the rest of the creatures they have on that offense will have a field day and they will score at least 50. Now, Missouri can stay in a track meet because they're top 10 in passing against an LSU defense that's been gashed multiple times. But something has to give. You have to remedy your weaknesses. And if Missouri can remedy that just a little bit, they have a great chance against LSU. I'd even given them advantage. But if not, we're in store for another Globetrotter-style game. And I do not think LSU is going to lose another track meet. Now I'm going to bring in co-host, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn, my brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crane. Look, there's a ton of ways. Looking at stats, stats tell a lot, right? Box scores always say that they're like a trailer for a movie. They give you an idea of what's going on, but they don't tell the whole story.
Sure.
You know, something we talked about in the offseason, too, to go along with this, David, is Brady Cook, who was in a quarterback battle. We talked about this multiple times. He showed flashes last year of being a guy that could be a heck of a player down the road. But there'd be those 3 or 4 instances during games, and a lot of times they were when he was outside the pocket or when he was improvising, where the mistakes would happen, where he would try and force it, kind of try and play high school ball a little bit, try and play hero ball a little bit. It seems he's figured that out. But if they get in a shootout with LSU, I don't think that is a great recipe, even with Luther Burden and Schrader and Weiss and the guys that they have. I don't think that's the recipe for Missouri to be able to win this thing.
Maybe not, but I don't think they're going to have a choice because I think LSU is just going to score points. I mean, with Jaden Daniels on the other side, Malik Neighbors, like LSU is going to put up points. So the question is, can Brady Cook and Luther Burden just freak out and win one of those sorts of games? The thing I'm looking at for this is turnovers. And first of all, just a shout out to Eli Drinkwitz and what Missouri's been able to do so far with the 5-0 start. That win against Kansas State. Kansas State's a good football team, man. And then you look at not dropping the ones that you're slightly favored in. I look at a game like Memphis. Memphis is a good football team. Memphis could go in there and win that game. And in both of those games, Missouri's win over Kansas State and Memphis, Missouri's defense was able to create turnovers. All right. In LSU's 2 losses against Florida State and against Ole Miss, they turned the football over. Can Missouri's defense turn LSU over? I still think LSU is going to score a lot of points, but can they turn them over and maybe get some short field, stay in plus territory a bit, and maybe get a couple cheap scores in addition to what I think is going to happen for Missouri, which is Brady Cook and Luther Burden really go off.
Yeah, and you look at the game they played, talking about Missouri against Middle Tennessee State, where they only won by 4. Sometimes those, using the transitive property can kind of be a misnomer. I don't suggest it for anybody that bets either. But Blaine, when you look at a team like LSU, with what they have on the offensive line coming back, offense has obviously not been the problem, except for, I would say, you look at the Florida State game, early in that game, they got in the red zone, weren't able to score, which is that Missouri's best chance to be able to keep LSU under 40 points is they're going to get yards in between the 20s, holding them to field goals instead of scoring touchdowns, because I don't see a team totally shutting down, even when LSU goes to Alabama. With the way Jaden Daniels is playing right now, with the way he's now utilizing every third of the field, from the deep third to the intermediate to the short, the way they're able to run the ball, Brian Thomas emerging with Malik Neighbors, who we know is a problem, Mason Taylor at tight end, and that running back room is high quality. I just don't see a world in which they hold LSU under 24 points and win this one 27-24. But can you win it 38-27? Can you win it 38-30, somewhere
That's kind of
around.
how they've been winning games. And, I mean, you go back and look at this Missouri team. I'm interested to see what their plan is going to be defensively. Great can stop the run. They're giving up 73 yards a game. Do you heat Jaden Daniels up early? Because at this point, there's one thing I do not want to do. I do not want to get beat by Jaden Daniels' feet. I want to keep him in the pocket, and I'm going to make him throw checkdowns after checkdowns and checkdowns. Because Jaden Daniels will get greedy at some point. I think he will. I know he's having a phenomenal year. I think if I'm Missouri, obviously you have to win in the red zone. That's a must. You have to give up field goals. That'll be a job you have to do. But what are you going to do defensively? Front seven's good for Missouri. We're talking about their secondary's not great. Do you heat Jaden up? You have to do something. Because if you sit back in coverage, he will pick you apart.
Yeah.
He will pick you apart.
Yeah, well, and again, I get worried about that if I'm really good at stopping the run. And then I say, all right, I'm going to heat you up, which, outside of zone pressures, fire zones, things like that, means you're playing man in the back end. Do I want to give Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, because we've seen Jaden throw the deep ball, and he can put it through a donut hole from however far out you want. Do we sit here and say, listen, we know LSU is going to have try and have some semblance of balance. If LSU is going to dink and dunk us, let them dink and dunk us. We'll get down to the red zone where the field shrinks, where we're good against the run, and hold them to field goals. I just wonder with this LSU, because Jaden Daniels is one of the most underrated parts about Jaden Daniels is his ability to identify coverages. I don't think he gets enough credit for making the right decision with the ball pre-snap and then while the play is going on. I think that's one of his strengths. And then obviously his ability to run and extend the play outside and inside the pocket. I just don't know if I want to give LSU, not saying you never pressure, like you got to pick your times. So we're going to talk about that with Oklahoma, that pressure's almost at a 30% rate. But do you want to give them the chance to hit that big play? Or do you say, listen, let's prove that we can stop the run when they get down in the red zone. Let's make them kick 40-yard field goals because we think we can score touchdowns against this LSU defense. To me, I think that's just a more logical recipe.
You can't win in zone coverage. I mean, if you're already getting shredded.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're
already
blitzing,
getting shredded.
if you're blitzing,
coverage,
though, you're not.
I would rather, if I'm going to get beaten in zone coverage, I'd rather at least bring some gas at you.
I get it.
So zone pressure. So
zone pressure, the fire zone pressure, I think, may be the answer here. But it's tough because if you're talking about bringing pressure in the cover 1 or cover 0 look, the man coverage like he's talking about, I'm seeing Malik Neighbors having 200 yards in the first half, like he did a few weeks ago, and three touchdowns.
You got to have
right?
someone on the safety. Yeah.
If you bring the fire zone pressure, though, Jaden Daniels is an experienced guy, right, who can make those reads. I think that could be the answer down the stretch. But also, if you sit back in a shell look, he can check the runs. He can, like you said, pick you apart a little bit. At least then it'd be a little bit slower. And maybe to your point at the beginning, you would keep from getting in a track meet.
You'll never be outflanked if you drink Black Rifle coffee.
Oh, that's bad. That's big.
You'll be aware. You'll be ready. They have ready-to-drink cans. If you run an up-tempo offense, I'm sure Josh Heupel probably drinks this. So does Jeff Levy. But their coffee subscription as well gives you the chance to purchase limited edition flavors. They just dropped the Halloween Pumpkin Spice Collection. That's right. Delicious. I mean, you're over there with Blackbeard's Delight, which is fantastic.
Ichabod Crane.
Ichabod Crane, our cousin in arms over there. The Headless Horseman's Roast and the ready-to-drink Pumpkin Spice Espresso. The espresso so good, you'll say, yes, bro. All right, with pumpkin spice flavors so good, it'll haunt your taste buds forever. So, go to blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER at checkout for 10% off your order. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER for 10% off. I'm telling you, this company is run by people that help out with veterans, that believe in the right stuff. I'm telling you guys, go check that out. blackriflecoffee.com and use our promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER at checkout, and you'll get 10% off.
That's one of the things about having an experienced quarterback like Jaden Daniels. Give him multiple looks, fine, but he's good at reading multiple looks.
Yeah, got to mix it up.
If it's me, I am running zone coverage against Jaden Daniels most of the time because a place that he kills people is he is one of the best at realizing you're in man and taking off when everybody's back's turned. I think Jackson Dart, that game against LSU and Ole Miss, there was multiple times where that happened.
Shedeur Sanders is another one. I would run more zone pressure looks against someone like Shedeur
I'm with
Sanders.
that.
He picks man apart.
Well, I mean, zone pressure is basically, if we're going to be honest, if we're sitting here playing, cover three and bringing a fire zone or bringing his own pressure. It's basically a spy anyway. You're bringing a guy from depth, so he's reacting to where Jaden Daniels is. He can leverage him, and it's kind of in that same vein. But I'm very interested to see it because I think Missouri is going to be able to score points against this LSU defense. Oh, hey, YouTube, I didn't see you sitting there. If you get a chance, make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the show, what are you doing with your life? And please turn on the notification bell. Ring that thing like Quasimodo, but with triangle face.